Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coast-to-Coast Combat Hour. I'm your host, Matthew Hawkins, and as always, joined by my co-host, Ed Carbajal. And on a weekly basis, we are brought to you by AllAccessMMA.com. Check out AllAccessMMA.com for our video podcast and your MMA inquiries. Ed, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. Really quick, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to my boy Jeff Russo, who's got to go under the knife for something tomorrow. So I want to dedicate this episode to him and send him some well wishes. He's a solid listener, subscriber of the podcast, and a dear friend of mine. So I wanted to give him a shout out, and just to let folks know, the audio listeners like Jeff, I spoke with Jillian DeCoursey right after. Well, not right after. It was a couple of weeks after her win at Invicta FC 47. If you guys remember, we did the fight side chat for that event. And then, oddly enough, this next episode is the next one we did after that because we were off last week. So, folks watching on YouTube, if you click the description below, the link for that interview that I did for her, it was for mymmanews.com, but she's been on the podcast a bunch of times too. And I told her I was going to add that to the audio version of this, just so we can get her thoughts from that night and how she, after the win, an awesome win that was super popular a couple of days afterwards. So shout out to Jillian for giving me some time early this week. And yeah, after that, I know we were off last week, bro, but it was a really, really interesting weekend in combat sports, to say the least.
Yeah, not one for the record books, I would say.
Yeah, it was.
Friday night or Friday midday for me because of the early start time. Eagle FC 47 took place. Eagle FC 46 was, I think, pretty much a hit across the board. I think even the last two events have been pretty much critically acclaimed as really good events. This one, minus the Maki Patolo knockout highlight in the middle of the main card, kind of ended with a bad taste in everybody's mouth, especially the main event when Junior Dos Santos threw his shoulder out of socket. Appeared to be throwing a punch. I don't know if it was as a result of anything that happened prior to that, but it appeared to be throwing a punch and threw his arm out of socket. And then we got to hear De Castro, celebrate like he just won the World Cup, while his opponent is on the ground screaming.
Yeah, which
And
he
the ref,
apologized for, though. He did.
yeah, yeah,
After he realized what happened and stuff when they did the post media stuff, he was sorry that he did that because it was just, whatever it was, in the moment of like fighting and stuff. He realized after the fact that I was like, holy shit, this was stupid of me to do. So
it just comes off bad. He's not the
yeah,
first person to do it. He won't be the last. It was funny hearing Henry Cejudo during the interview go, "I know you don't want to take too much happiness in that win." I don't remember his exact words, but that was, hey,
they
they're
got
going
they got
to,
to get somebody else to do those
dude.
interviews.
I was gonna say the whole thing, the whole play-by-play crew, great fighters, but
Mhm.
I mean, it is hard to listen to. I found it hard to listen to between Usman, Cejudo. Um, Chael has his moments. I know you're a big Sonnen fan, so I'm
Yeah,
not
I was
going
gonna
to.
say I
I'm
like
not going
Uncle
to go.
Chael. He was
Yeah,
actually the most honest after that happened. I mean, he made that joke. He was like, he's like, oh my god, if we might have to redo this whole card
yeah.
because of
No, I mean, he gets
yeah.
it the most. He's not trying to be. It's just weird. The whole Khabib sitting on a table next to the ring with Ali and kind of his entourage just seems weird. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I will be seeing. I'd be curious to see where this ends up going. I mean, obviously, it seems like people are happy that are in the organization, which is a
Hmm.
plus. If Khabib's doing the right things for his fighters, then you know more power to him. I hope his
Hmm.
organization stands around forever. But you just wonder where it works with Bellator for a while, bringing in kind of old UFC fighters. But the reality is that the Bellator that the real hardcore fans know and
Hmm.
appreciate is the young studs that they've managed to cultivate between McKee, Pico, um, even guys like, I know that not, Dantes, guys that are kind of even bouncing around now and looking for
Mm,
shots at the UFC. You got guys who really made their name. Mike Richmond, who's killing it in BKFC right now, is another guy who, made his name as a Bellator fighter, at
yeah.
least in the combat world. And those are the guys that I think the real fans appreciate. Now, obviously, a guy like Musasi doesn't fit in that category because he was let go in his prime. We're not talking about a 40-year-old Dos Santos. Um, Fedor's Fedor. You understand why Bellator would sign
Yeah,
him.
yeah. No,
Um,
I'm glad you're mentioning Fedor because they brought him up so many times in that, and I'm gonna be, I want to say it first, like you know, they're talking about there's this talk of kind of like co-promoting with Bellator because Mamedov, Mamedov that's who was on loan from Bellator that fought in that event, got that quick first round submission. Um, but I um I don't think that that you can't have Fedor fighting in that little ass cage to finish because I mean they're talking about trying to get him there for whatever reason because of the stuff going on in Russia and everything, and it's just like as soon as they started, they must have mentioned it several times as if it was something that might be happening or in the works, and I'm just like no, you can't you just can't have him come fight some heavyweight signed with Eagle FC and Fedor can't close his career in that little ass cage in that LF Flex Arena or whatever, where they're holding the events in Miami. You just can't. It's. I know you agree with me because it's Fedor. Like you for
it
Fedor.
doesn't seem right. If
Yeah,
it gave you the if Junior Dos, okay, well, he didn't look terrible, but he didn't look great either, and then he got hurt.
yeah.
Had Dos Santos looked good, and that fight maybe was on the table, I could go, okay, that's the best fight available for him to go out on, win or lose. At least you're fighting a stud.
Mm-hmm.
You're not fighting, you know, whoever Bellator, in theory could throw at him. Because Bellator's heavyweight division is not exactly, uh, you know, the who's who of heavyweights. But I certainly would rather see him rematch Bader in a bigger event with at least a crowd. I mean, I don't know if you can even buy tickets to attend the Eagle FC events, or if it's like invite only. I'm not real sure how they're running their shows, but it certainly isn't
Mm-hmm.
a gigantic crowd. Yeah, not my thing. I would prefer to see Bellator go, or Fedor coming out, walking out on a stage with some fireworks going off, and that kind of thing. Obviously, the Moscow Russia fight
Mm-hmm.
is off the table, according to
Yeah.
Coker. Does seem weird that they were so openly talking about another organization's fighter, though. If Coker hasn't talked to them, I would have been on the phone going, dude, you can't just talk about our fighters.
Well,
Like that's not
I
that's
mean,
not how this works.
I think that goes back to what you're saying about. I mean, again, I'm not to be a fucking dick or whatever, but it goes back to just having these people with no broadcast experience. It was Islam Mamedov that still signed with
Uh-huh.
Bellator. I just want to make sure because it got his name right, but um, I think it goes back to what you were saying about just the only person that has a lot of broadcast experience was Chael because he's done commentary, World Series of Fighting, Bellator. He does stuff for ESPN, but everybody else is kind of like they're learning as they go, and it's not more apparent than from all of them. Cejudo's the worst, and he's not even trying to be cringy when he does that role. It's just so bad that I'm like. There's one point when he got in, and I think when he was talking to Mamedov, he's like, "Oh, you're here. You've got." He mentions Ali sitting there, like Ali's part of the promotion. Which, if you remember, when he was with World Series of Fighting, and he was managing fighters, and he had a role. There's something under commission regulations that you can't do that. So, I mean, it's like I don't know how off the cuff he's going when he's doing that because it is live, but bro, like I mean, and he wears the lifts to go on TV. Like you got to do something else. Like you got
I
to
don't
get
know.
there's
It,
other
it
people that could do it. That's all I'm saying.
the whole thing is that it seems weird, and it just seems odd. They seem to always have relationships with all the fighters they're calling the fights for.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like they they want to say something kind of not disrespectful, but you know, they want to criticize the fighter, but then they like pull back. It just seems like there's a lot of that and a lot of, oh, I trained with this guy. We know this guy. Oh, he throws heavy punches. The guy he's fighting is, this guy, and it just it's. I mean, I thought we were going to get tears out of the other dude when that guy decided to retire. I mean, you're going,
Yeah.
dude, he just got knocked out in 30 seconds. He wants to retire. Let's not, it wasn't a funeral. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's 40. I'm not super familiar with him. I'm not sure if you were, but let's not act like GSP just walked out of the ring. It was like a 15-minute appreciation for Usher who had just retired. I don't know, and if they're friends with him, I get it, but it just seems weird out of the booth.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of like a good old boys situation with Eagle FC. I mean, the fights I liked. I mean, the last couple of events I really liked. This particular event was definitely one. Like when Chael made the joke about them having to do the whole thing over, I was like, you know what, bro? Um, sure, yeah, like, but the one last thing we wanted to comment on from that, because there's a lot of interviews that happened on site there. Speaking of Ali, I always mess up his last name, so I don't want to attempt it. But Kayla Harrison's manager is Ali we're referring to, and he got interviewed. And when they talked to him about MMA Junkie asked him about Kayla's career, he said nobody wants to see her fight Chris Cyborg. And in my mind, I'm like, for a guy that spends a lot of time on Twitter, um, are you not listening? Like, that's like
he
the only fight folks want to see from Kayla.
it is the only fight, and as her manager, he can't explain why he allowed her into a contract situation that didn't allow that fight to happen. He's the manager, he deals the contracts, he does all that stuff. So he
And
has
she said she wants to do it. So I
she
don't.
wants to fight in
Yeah.
Bellator. She signed with Bellator, but her manager Ali had apparently put her in a contract early on with PFL or World Series, whatever it was when they made their initial contract, that she had basically very little negotiation rights after her contract was expired. So I don't know how. I don't recall. I don't think any of us really know how much of a contract she signed. But to act like that's not the fight everybody wants to see, I think it's the only fight everybody wants to
Hmm.
see. And for him to, and he can't go, well, that's the fight everybody wants to see, but I'm the manager and I made sure that that fight could never happen. I mean,
Hmm.
well, you didn't do your job, Ollie. Your client is complaining she can't fight the person she wants to
Hmm.
fight. She was just a free agent, and
She
now she
keeps
gets
saying
no,
she wants to fight the best in the world. Yeah, no,
and
I
she's
agree with you.
and she's not even fighting the top 50th ranked
You
in
know,
every fight.
I mean, and she's voiced her frustration during that whole process. You know, so I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I honestly think that, like you said, there's probably something to be said for whatever's going on between her and her manager. Because as someone that's an Olympian, I don't see her not wanting to fight Cyborg or even a Nunes, who she used to train with, or anyone else. I mean, there's more for her when you look at the fighters that are at Bellator. Not just Cyborg, but I mean, there's like Kat Zingano, like Kayla's definitely someone that likes to test herself and watch herself evolve, and she's evolving. It's she could definitely evolve in the PFL another season. Of course, pick up another $1 million. Who's going to say no to that? So business wise, it's smart, but as the competitor in her, I mean, we kind of saw the unhappiness with it. I mean, and it
That gets
sucks that
back
what
to the
she,
manager, though. Not to cut you
yeah,
off, but that gets back to the manager. The
yeah,
manager gets the cut no matter who she fights. So
yeah,
if she's fighting a bunch of 4-2 fighters and she wins, then great. He gets the bonus. He
mhm.
gets his chunk of the change. If she signed with Bellator. She wanted to fight Cyborg. So it's not like if she
Yeah,
had her way, she would be fighting in Bellator right now. She'd already have fought Cyborg probably,
yeah.
or
I
we'd be
mean,
looking forward to it.
to quote Dana White though, like he always likes to say, and he usually seems to be right most of the time. We really don't know about the business. And as far as like matching clauses and things like that happen with her contractually, we have no idea what happened that she wound up stuck where she's stuck. If matching clauses are that sticky that a fighter can actually get stuck someplace where they have no say. I mean, that's the whole point of bringing the Ali Act to mixed martial arts, that the fighters do have a say, because that's how it works in boxing. boxers have a say in all of their fights now because of the Ali Act. Um, it's just more reason to see why that that argument, that conversation will never go away. Shout out to you if you really want to read into stuff like that. I have to do my monthly shout out for Eric McRacken, Combat Sports Law. He's got tons of information over at his website about that. But I mean, I'll leave that where it is because I know we got to talk about the. I didn't. You watched it, so you need to kind of help me know what's all the hubbub from UFC Vegas 55. I it was on ESPN Plus, and it was half the main event was Holly Holm, which is an automatic. No offense to Holly Holm, but I mean, not my favorite fighter to watch.
First off, Piera versus Ponzinibbio was fight of the year candidate. So if
Mm-hmm.
anybody's going to go back, watch that co-main event. Back and forth, two guys
Mm-hmm.
just throwing for the fences. Great fight, two good fighters. Pahea picks up the win, moving into the rankings. So that was really the highlight of the card that I was into. Main event came around. Caitlin Vieira, Holly Holm. You know, Holly Holm was great for her time, but she is boring as hell. I'm sorry. I mean, it's gotten to the point where the only time I like to watch her fight now is when she loses. At least then, like somebody's fighting. Now, this is a case where she lost the fight and not much happened. But
Yeah.
I mean, good lord, it's shadow boxing with push you up against the cage, and I don't. I'm not even saying she didn't win the fight. I don't. The judging can. It's up in the air. We've seen Twitter go crazy. We see Laura Sanko and uh, John Anik and everybody chiming in with how they perceive the rules to be and how a fight should be judged. And nobody knows. Nobody knows. It was a fight that was incredibly bad. Two people barely did anything, and one girl wasn't able to do much because the other was kind of just stalling the whole fight.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one would land something, and the other one would land 10 little pitter patter punches, and then the other one would land. I mean, nobody won that fight. Sometimes they say the fans won. The fans
Mm-hmm.
lost in that fight. It should have been a draw. Both girls should have dropped in the rankings, and we should have got
So
something else going on.
was it Namajunas
No,
as
no,
far
no,
as a
no, no.
bad or
Nothing is that. That
okay.
was that. I
All
mean,
right.
this is we've seen this before. This was the decision was a little bit odd because usually the person who's kind of controlling the cage, quote unquote, by somewhat stalling. I mean, it usually wins the fight just because that's how the judges see it. So I think that's what throw most people off. Plus, people like Holly Holm. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they like her, and I don't have anything against her. I paid for her to fight too many times. To watch her circle the ring against Pennington. And it's just this was just another one. It's like she's talking about fighting Katie Taylor now. I mean, good lord, what are you gonna do? Clinch the whole fight? I mean, I don't think you can stand there and throw three straight punches yet screaming and expect to win a fight against the undisputed
Mm.
women's pound for pound champion in boxing. So I don't know. I just think people are crazy about how they judge fights. I don't even know what the rules are anymore. I don't think anybody knows how to judge a fight. I can't even judge the fight. It wasn't worth judging. I go by what Caposa said when he went back and rewatched it. He had I think he came up with Vieira winning 3-2. And I've seen a lot of people who went back, turned the commentary off, and just kind of actually paid attention to the power of the punches or the effects of the punches as opposed to the you know the the jab with you know the kind of the yell or the what I mean. It's like it's point karate but for her, but they can't understand why. I don't know. You want to be the best in the world? You want to rematch with Amanda Nunes? You gotta go out there and do something.
Yeah.
That's my thing, and
I mean,
it goes
yeah, no,
coming
that's
off
my
of the
thing too.
Esparza
Yeah.
Rose thing. Maybe it's just like extra bad flavor in my mouth, but I'm starting to go, Jesus, give me more Jillian DeCoursey if this is what I gotta. If this is it at the UFC level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe they should add the atom weight division so you could go have Jillian come out there and pop some folks. But listen, that's like I said. I mean, I feel bad because I know she puts her time in training and stuff like that, but it's been a while for me. I can't remember the last fight that I don't remember which fight it was that made me just not like if Holly Holm. I don't get why she main events often. She's always either if she's not on pay per view, she's main eventing a fight night. I mean, like you said, I guess folks just love her for whatever reason. I mean, because she did kill the queen. That's her biggest. That's Holly Holm's claim to fame is when she knocked out Ronda Rousey. So I guess that's why we're always going to get her either on a pay per view or this fight night main event. But I don't get the
She
I mean
hasn't
she
finished anybody since 2017 when she beat Beth Cahaya.
yeah. And it's the
That
same. I mean, it's the lead leg sidekick that she likes to throw, and like you said, the pushing and the boxing, and I mean, she's I don't know. I just
yeah, it's just she's
it's just not what I like. I like other kinds of fights. That's all.
yeah. No, I mean that's what I'm saying. I mean, I was you know I was a huge fan early on, and rooted for her going back to when she was in like Legacy and all
hmm
that stuff. And the I don't know, was it Legacy? I'm pretty sure she fought in Legacy. It was one of those early ones. She fought in
hmm
Bellator, but yeah, Legacy, Bellator. Um, that's when I saw her fight. Coming up, and you heard about her coming in and stuff. But right now, it's not. You're not who I want to watch fight, and like I don't want you to. My worst thing is you beating someone like Nunes or Pena, who like what are you gonna do? Stall and shadow box and pick up a decision, and then I gotta watch you defend the belt. I mean, we,
hmm
like, I'm not exactly looking forward to Esparza's next, title defense. It's just like, what is? Well, I don't know what it is. But it brings up the point then of open scoring. Do we want to know
hmm
the scores? Do we not want to know the scores? I don't even know that anymore. It
hmm
seems like it's almost a split now on Twitter, with at least the people that I respect their opinion of, so I'm not even sure, but it's just, we gotta get back to UFC, fighting. I don't know. Maybe it's too much of a sport for it just to be a fight anymore, but good for
Yeah,
them.
no, I get. I mean, we've talked about how just the sports come a long way. It's finally on. It's easy to watch. You don't have to wait once a month to watch one event like when we first started getting into this thing. Everyone's got a podcast about it. I mean, yes, thankfully we're able to have one about it because of how popular it is. But I mean, I think there's always a downside to what they call it in game theory. I think it's called the tragedy of the commons when too much of something gets I don't know too popular. But look it up, tragedy of the commons. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this weekend's Memorial Day weekend, so folks. I know it's a rough time in the to be around and stuff, and just a lot going on in the world, and hopefully this podcast can give folks a little bit of release and stuff like that. I don't know there's not much going on this weekend. I'm going to watch the CFFC event Friday. I know you said there was a BKFC event on as well.
BYB, Backyard Boxing. They're in
Mm.
Biloxi. It's the Trigon Data 5000s event. Always a
Uh,
fun, entertaining event. It's a free on YouTube on Saturday
oh, cool.
night. I've watched the last, this is their 10th event. I've probably watched about half of them.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so YouTube, BYB, Tony Lopez, everybody's favorite 80 fight veteran who somehow never fought in the UFC, does continues to fight everybody there is in the co-main event. There's a women's main event fight, so
Oh, cool.
that'll be on. So there is that. Pro wrestling fans, Sunday is AEW's pay-per-view, so just throw that out there. Um,
Yeah.
from Vegas,
Mm.
so that might be some brain dead entertainment on a
Yeah.
Sunday if you're looking forward to Monday's day off work, hopefully for everyone. But yeah, kind of a slow week. It would have been nice. I wish the UFC's. Well, we get UFCs every week, so I'm not going to say I wish, but I wish like we got the Memorial weekend, the holiday weekend events were always fun for the UFC. So
Yeah.
um, we'll see how that goes. But they got some good stuff coming around the corner. International Fight Week looks like that event looks pretty stacked.
hmm
Seeing the prelims made me happy. Some big names, big meaningful fights on the
Yeah,
prelims.
for
Um,
sure.
and we got a couple heavyweight fights in the near future. Rosenstruck and Volkov next week. So UFC has plenty going on, plenty of good fights coming up, but
Yeah.
just
So it's a nice little break to before, especially after coming off the last couple of events might have been a little smoky for them. So it's good to take a break and come back reinvigorated to watch something new.
exactly. So again, fans, we have the audio of Ed's interview with Jillian DeCoursey. Her first interview post her huge victory over Lindsey Van Zandt at Invicta Fighting. So definitely catch that. Um, that was a great moment. Glad we were able to catch that on the podcast a couple weeks ago. So uh, look forward to listening to that and getting her on here live again in the near future. Until then, fans can follow the show at Combat Hour on Twitter, Coast to Coast Combat Hour on Instagram. Follow me, Matthew Hawkins, at MMA Hawk 21 on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Ed at Carbazol on Twitter, Carb Beerzol on Instagram, and Old Head Carb on Twitch. And again, check us out at allaccessmma.com for our video podcast and your MMA news. Ed, that pretty much wraps us up for this week.
Yes, sir.
Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, everybody. And thank you
Hopefully,
for
yeah.
listening.
Hopefully the rain doesn't fuck me out of another weekend out here in New Jersey.